Hi, I'm Helen2, which some of you will already know, and I'm the team lead on the pension operations team. So I'm going to talk to you about the annual allowance and the lifetime allowance, and we'll go through some examples. And it will these examples will hopefully show the impact of how important it is to receive correct pay information. The two main allowances that HMRC impose are the annual allowance and the lifetime allowance. There are limits on the total amount of contributions you can make into your pension scheme and get tax relief. So, what is the annual allowance? Well, the annual allowance is the limit to the total amount of benefits that you can build up in a scheme and receive tax relief on the contributions. It applies across all the pension schemes you belong to, not just the one scheme. And the scheme year is known as the pension input period, which is usually referred to the PIP. And the current PIP for the LGPS is the 6th of April to the 5th of April. And a factor of 16 is applied to the increase in the annual pension, plus any increase in your lump sum, and any ABCs that you've paid through the period. And this is known as the pension growth or the pension input amount. So here's an example of how you value someone's benefits during the pension input period. This method is just for defined benefit schemes like the LGPS, so it is not the same as if you're paying into a money purchase scheme. So step one, you need to work out what the benefits are at the beginning of the period. So for this case, this person had a pension of £39,679 at the beginning and a lump sum of £95,787. So you get the pension and you multiply it by 16, add on the lump sum, and then we add on CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, which would be the rate of the CPI the September previous. At the end of the period, we then find out we have to value the benefits again. So this person now has a pension of £44,332 and a lump sum of £102,996. And the ABCs that they pay during that period is £120. So again, we times the pension by 16, add on the lump sum, and add on the ABCs they've paid, and the value is £812,398. So then, step 3, we need to compare the values to see if there's any growth in benefits. So for this person, there is the growth in benefits is £65,582, and you check this against the annual allowance limit of £40,000, and this person has actually exceeded the annual allowance by £25,852, and that is subject to a tax charge. This is why it is very important for employers to send us correct final pensionable pay and care at the end of the year, because if the pay is incorrect, we could cause one of your employees to receive a tax charge in error. So, what if one of your employees is over the allowance? Well, and it's correct. Well, what we have to do is send a pension savings statement to the members by the 6th of October. So this is why we need the information on time as well, because we have to meet deadlines. And that statement includes the amount of growth that person's benefits have increased in the year, and it also includes the previous 3 years. If the individual has any unused annual allowance from the previous 3 years, hence why we put it in the pension statement, they can offset some or all of the excess so they don't get a tax charge. If there isn't any unused allowance, or it doesn't mitigate all of it, then there's a tax charge at the employee's marginal rate. The individual has to declare it on a self-assessment form, and if the tax charge is over £2,000, they can ask the fund to use a mandatory scheme pays. Right, what is mandatory scheme pays? Well, if a charge is greater than £2,000, they can elect for this option, and which means the pension fund will pay the tax on their behalf, and then we would reduce their pension permanently on retirement. The reduction is calculated by dividing the tax due by a government actuary department which is based on age and gender. The scheme is only obliged to pay the whole charge which relates to that scheme. As I previously mentioned, that the pension growth is calculated over the total, all of your pension schemes, not just an individual one. There are strict timelines for individuals to apply. More information can be found on our website. Who can be affected? Mostly employees who receive a substantial pay rise or bonus within the year. Bonuses and pay awards count in the year that they were paid, not for when they were due. Therefore, if you're planning to give one of your employees a bonus or a promotion, you may wish to point this out so they can contact the team to see if there's a knock-on effect of their pension growth and ask any questions of have they got any unused allowance that they can use. It shouldn't put employees off from having a promotion, but it's better that they are aware and understand what they can do. Another who could be affected is if the employer awards an additional pension under Regulation 31. They are then likely to increase the pension growth in the year that the additional pension has been awarded. Also, an employee could transfer a large pension rights or service from another LGPS fund, and this could affect their annual allowance. And again, we just need them to be aware of it, of the possible implications. Following the budget in 2015, the government introduced an annual allowance taken for high earnings from the 6th of April 2016. This means the annual allowance is tapered for members who has a threshold income in excess of 110,000 and an adjusted income in excess of 150,000. And for every £2 that the adjusted income exceeds £150,000, the annual allowance is tapered down to £1 to a minimum of 10,000. So what do we mean, threshold income? This is the individual's taxable income for the year from all sources, and not just their salary, less any pension contributions that they pay for a net pay arrangement. Adjusted income is the individual's threshold income plus the value of any pension growth over that year. So this means you need to work out the pension growth for the year before you even know if you're going to be affected by the taper. Another difficulty is that the annual allowance for a tax year is dependent on the individual's tax income, not just their salary. So some people will not know what that is until the end of the tax year. The pension fund would only know if individuals would be affected by the taper if they earned £150,000 or more. So we will be only notifying individuals who exceed the 40,000 standard annual allowance limit. HMRC have made it very clear that individuals have responsibility to check that they are affected by the taper, and if so, they contact us. Here's an example of the tapering of the annual allowance. So this person has got taxable income in 2016 £17,000 or £142,000. They've paid £15,620 in pension contributions. We've already worked out what their pension growth, so their growth in benefits was 79,568. So, step one is the threshold income above the 110,000. So we take the taxable income, less the contributions, and that's their threshold income. That is over the £110,000, so therefore we need to go on to the next test. Is the adjusted income over the £150,000? Well, we take the threshold income which we just worked out, plus the pension growth, which was 79,568, and that person's adjusted income is then 205,948. So that is over the £150,000, so the taper applies. Now, if that person didn't have that bigger growth, they might have been underneath, so then that's it, they're not affected by the taper and they would have the standard 40,000 annual allowance limit. But this person hasn't. So, step 3 is to apply the taper. So as a reduction in the annual allowance of £1 for every £2 adjusted income, which is above the 150,000, you need to take the individual adjusted income less the £150,000 and divide that amount by 2. And then the reduction in the taper for this individual is £12,026. So you take off the growth from their annual allowance tapered limit, and then this person has got subject to a tax charge of £67,542. Any tax payable by the individual due to being caught up by the taper does not fall into the mandatory scheme pays. So the individual would have to pay the tax just like they would if the tax charge was under the £2,000. There are some actions employers can do. You could assess who in your workforce may be affected, to communicate these changes to employees so they can make informed decisions to maximise their outcome rather than just minimise tax. And you can signpost them to our website, which we have got a page for annual allowance, and which includes the taper allowance. So the second HRC allowance is what we call the lifetime allowance. You can save as much as you like towards your pension, but there is a limit on the amount of tax relief you can get. So the lifetime allowance is an overall limit on the value of your pension benefits made up across all pension arrangements. When your pension comes into payment, it's called, we work out the capital value, which is calculated by multiplying your annual pension by £20 plus £20, times by 20, back to 20, plus any lump sum. This is then checked against the lifetime allowance at your retirement to see if you exceed it. The current lifetime allowance is £1 million. If the lifetime allowance is exceeded, there is a tax charge on the excess. If the excess is taken as a lump sum, there would be a tax charge of 55%, and then if it was taken as pension, the tax rate would be 25%. So here's a quick example of the calculation. This person's got £49,000 on retirement as a pension, and his lump sum is £147,000. So you times pension by 20, add on to the lump sum, and this person is over the 1 million. So he's £127,000 over the lifetime allowance. So from the 6th of April 2016, the lifetime allowance reduced to the 1 million from the 1.25 million which was beforehand. The government provided two forms of transitional protection: fixed protection 2016 and individual protection 2016 for those pension people who are close to the lifetime allowance. If a member applies for fixed protection 2016, they can maintain the lifetime allowance of 1.25 million. However, members generally have to opt out because if you have further deferred benefits accrual, you will lose the protection. Anyone can apply, and there's no time limit. If a member applies for individual protection, they will need to have already have a lifetime allowance of at least 1 million as of the 5th of April 2016. They will then have a protected lifetime allowance at the value of what their benefits were at the 5th of April 2016, up to the maximum of the 1.25 million. With this protection, you're able to continue further accrual in the pension scheme without protection being lost, and there is no time limit to apply either. Has anybody got any questions? Thank you. I've chopped all my presentation away.
I think what Helen was saying on hers is that annual allowance might affect a lot of your employees, especially if they have a promotion, but some of the taper now will affect your higher earners, so it can affect people that employ you. So we get a lot of queries from the higher earners in some of the employers, but it's the people that are at the top. So we try and get it right for everybody, so there isn't any difference how we deal with people at all. But I think we do need to just be mindful that there can be some big tax bills that are popping up nowadays, but people just need to be mindful. We try and make sure that we mention about the annual allowance nowadays in most of our communications that go out, and it's mentioned in the annual benefit statements as well. But it can be quite a shock. I think you saw there one of Helen's examples was that they would have had £67,000 worth that needed to be taxed at their marginal rate. That was likely to be somebody who was either 40 or 45% taxpayer. So, and that's a bill they have to pay themselves at the moment. The pension fund wouldn't pay that for them. So just more complications coming into the pensions field, I think, from the government and from HMRC. So just areas that hopefully a day like today just sort of points out to you that there are sometimes little stings in the tail for nice promotions for people, and hopefully the information has helped you across the whole gamut of why do we need so much information from you and why do we need accurate information.